Yeah, so welcome back. Today we are going to take our discussion on relations further. In the previous video, we talked about basically what the relation is, and we also talked about ordered pair. We looked into your Cartesian products because that would be laying the foundation of your relations, and then we saw how to symbolically present a particular relation. Afterwards, we talked about a very important concept in this particular topic relation, where we deal with domain and we deal with range, and then we talked about that okay, if I have a domain, then inverse, or and I have a range R, then inverse of range, right? So that can be related to when we are dealing with domain and ranges. Those things can be interrelated. So that was in context with the inverse relations. And in today's discussion, we are going to talk about types of relations which we have available with us. And we have nearly this kind of availability with us. We have your identity relation, we have your inverse relation, we have n-ary relation. Inverse relations, we had a discussion in our last video, but once again we'll have a look into it. Nothing wrong in revisiting a particular topic for our greater understanding. And then we'll talk about reflexive relation, and if I have introduced a term reflexive, then definitely we are going to also talk about irreflexive relations and non-reflexive relations as well. And additionally, we'll talk about your symmetric relations, and since we have introduced symmetric, so definitely we will be having something which is your asymmetric relations as well. And then we'll talk about your anti-symmetric relations. We'll also talk about your transitive relations in today's discussion. So let's start it with the very first one, which is your identity relation. So for this, let's say I have set A, which is like let's take any random set, and a very important relation on A is that of equality, right? So relation on A of equality is your ordered pair of A comma A, where A exists in capital A, set A. So this relation is also called as diagonal relation. That means diagonal relation on A, and denoted by your delta A, or it can be your I of A, identity relation. So what we get is, we get I of A is equals to an ordered pair in the form of A comma A, where your small a exists in set capital A. Now this basically gives you an idea that we have something called as relation on A, which is the relation of equality, that is in a form of your A comma A in a form of an ordered pair where A exists in A. So this, let's take one example so the things will be much more clearer in this particular case. So let's consider your set A as A comma B comma C. In this case, my identity relation IA, or I can say delta A, is equals to ordered pair A comma A, B comma B, and C comma C. This is something which is an identity relation in A or set A. So what it tries to say is that, first of all, we got to know that these are something which are your diagonal relations. So if you have any set A, then for that case your identity relationship will be ordered pair of all the elements which are present in your set A. So by looking at this example, we can get another definition of your identity relation, that can be your relation I on a set A is an identity relation if every element of A is related to itself only. And later we will see that your identity relationship will be reflexive, symmetric, and transitive as well. Although, you know, every identity relationship will be reflexive, but every reflexive relation will not be an identity relation. These things will be clearer in another few slides. So this is about your identity relation. Now let's talk about another relation, which is inverse. We had a talk on this particular topic in our previous video, so I'll quickly cover it up. So your inverse relation is nothing but your B comma A, where B exists in set B, A exists in set A, and your A comma B exists in relation R. So a point to note here is, that if your R is any relation, then your R inverse whole inverse will be equal to R. That too if R is any relation on A, then your R inverse is also a relation on A as well. Alright, this is something which is the additional point I have added, and rest all the explanation remains the same, which we have covered in our previous video. So the next one is your n-ary relation. Let a1 comma a2 up to an be a finite collection of sets, not the object, right? Finite collection of set and a subset R of a1 cross a2 up to an is called as n-ary relation on a1, a2 up to an if your R is not equal to phi, and in that case your R is called void or empty relation. Additionally, if R is equals to a1 cross a2 cross up to an, then your R is called universal relation, or you can say and for, let's say, n equals to 1, R is unary relation, for n equals to 2, your R is called binary relation, and lastly for n equals to 3, your relation R is called ternary relation. So this kind of n-ary relationship, or maybe relationship, is also a part of your database management course, where once again, while using your ER diagrams, we go ahead with these unary relationship where we see one-to-one unary relationship, one-to-many unary relationship. Then we see binary relationship where once again we have like one-to-one binary relationship, many-to-one binary relationship. So then we see ternary relationships. So all these relationships once again you will be covering when you will see your database management course, most probably in your second year, I guess in your third semester most probably. So the next one is your reflexive relationship. So a relation R on a set A is reflexive if A R A for every small a existing in capital set A. That means each element A of your set capital A is related to itself. A simple definition. Now this also connects to the point when we are talking about your identity relation. Right, here we said that we have a relation. If suppose I have like a set A which is like 1 2 3, then 1 comma 1 and other stuff will be resulting into your reflexive one. But let's see some example so that things will be much more clearer. So for example, if I have a set A as 1 comma 2 comma 3, let's suppose, and I have a relation R which is, or maybe R1, which is let's say 1 comma 1 comma 1 comma 3 comma 2 comma 1 comma 2 comma 2 comma 3 comma 2 and let's say 3 comma 3. Now in this case R1 is reflexive relation because for every A existing in A, I have A comma A existing in R1. Right, because I see 1 comma 1 is there, 2 comma 2 is there, 3 comma 3 is there. But since I have some additional things which are like 1 comma 3, 2 comma 1, 3 comma 2, that's why this particular thing is not the identity one. As I said, every identity will be reflexive but not reflexive relation. Every reflexive relation will be an identity one, right? So this can be once again written as, let's say in a general term, for every ordered pair A comma A existing in relation R, for every small a existing in capital A, right? Additional one is okay, right? This one, these are additional ones, accept it, but these things should be there. That's what the reflexive definition says. So basically it's taking you towards your equivalence relation. That particular part also will be covering in next few slides. So like when every real number is equal to itself, right? So relation will be called as your equal to, right? So in that sense, your reflexive relation is having a reflexive property, right? That means it is possessing your reflexive property. Now since we talked about reflexive, now let's talk about your irreflexive relation as well. So what it says is a relation R on a set A is irreflexive if for every A which exists in A, your ordered pair of A comma A does not exist in R. Right, from this irreflexive term and with the definition of this reflexive, you might have got an idea that this is something which is an opposite of it. So that means there is no A which exists in A such that A is related to your A. Right, let's take an example. Right, so if I have a relation R such that your x comma y exists in R square and x is less than y. Now this is irreflexive relation for the reason being your x is less than, let's say, x for no x existing in R. This kind of situation will never arise. Right, and I have something like this. So this will result into an irreflexive relation. Let's take another example, right, where I have your relation as, let's say, two comma 3, 2 comma 2, 3 comma 2, where A, let's say, is equals to 2 comma 3 only. Obviously this is not an irreflexive one just because I have something like this, right, based on this that A comma A should not be a part of it. Now another point to note is your reflexive means A is related to A, and this is true for all A and your irreflexive means your ARA is true for no A. Getting this point? Right, so I have tried to complicate the things. I am trying to confuse you, but this kind of definition should make sense as well. Right, so I have deliberately added this particular point here. Now, one thing is for sure irreflexive. The simple part is I don't have to look for any such thing. The moment it is, I'll declare that it's not the irreflexive. It's not an irreflexive relation. Right, so I have this, and this one is not even reflexive because 3 comma 3 is also missing. Now let's talk about another relation, which is non-reflexive relation. So a relation R on a set A is non-reflexive if R is neither reflexive nor irreflexive. In fact, with the help of a previous example, in some sense I have already covered this thing. That is, if ARA is true for some A and false for others. For some it is true and for some it is false. So neither it is falling into irreflexive nor it is falling into reflexive, although I have already covered it with the help of a previous example. But once again, quickly take another example so that things will be much more clearer. Let's say I have one relation R and I have one set A which is 1, 2, 3, and I have relation R in a way that I have 1, 2, I have 1, 1, I have, let's say, 2, 1, I have 2, 3, I have like 3, 3, and let's say that's it. Now in this I see 1, 1 is there, 3, 3 is there, but 2, 2 is not there. So your A, which is equals to 1, 2, 3, has a relation which is non-reflexive. Right. In fact, the previous example also was covering the same, but eventually I took a random example in order to explain it, and in some sense I have covered an additional topic which is your non-reflexive relation. So after non-reflexive relation, let's talk about a symmetric relation. Once again, a very interesting and a very simple one. So, and in fact from this term symmetric you might have got an idea also that what kind of relation it is going to be. So a relation R on, let's say, once again our very traditional set A is symmetric whenever your A comma B ordered pair is there in R, then B comma A is also there in R as well. Right. So if your A R B is implying B R A, simple one. By this time you might have made a guess as well. So what it means is, this means if any one element is related to any other element, then the second element is also related to the first one. Let me quickly wrap up with this simple example. Let's say I have a relation R which is equals to, let's say, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 3, and 3, 2. Right. So quickly, if we look into this particular part, so what we see is that this 1, 2 exists. So similarly 2, 1 also exists. 2, 3 exists. So I have 3, 2 as well. And I am not looking into this particular part. Right. 1, 1 itself is equals to the same thing. Now in this particular example, with this and with this, I can say that A, B is a part of R and B comma A is also a part of R. So what I'm getting is, I'm getting a symmetric relation. Now next is, obviously by this time you for sure you might have made a guess that the next will be your asymmetric relation. So what it says is, let's quickly see it. A relation R on a set A is asymmetric if I have, or maybe whenever I have A comma B existing in R, then B comma A exists in R for A not equal to B. That too if A is related to B, implying that B is not related to A. Once again, if this thing confuses you, so I can give you a simple definition that if suppose, let's say, x comma y exists in R, this implies your y comma x does not exist in R. Let's take one example. I have, let's say, a set A which is my 1 comma 2 comma 3. I have a relation R which is, let's say, 1 comma 2, 1 comma 1, 2 comma 3, 3 comma 1. Right, so this is nothing but an asymmetric relationship. The reason being, if I have 1 comma 3, then I don't find 3 comma 1 to be present. Right, 1 comma 1 is something which is it exists, right? So I have 2 comma 3, so I don't find 3 comma 2 present. If I have 3 comma 1, I don't once again find 1 comma 3. Right, this is 1 comma 2, right? Don't get confused. So just a minor correction, 1 comma 2 here and 2 comma 1 here, because 3 comma 1 is already here. So this was about asymmetric relationship, but we can have, let's say, a stance, or let me elaborate in the next slide so the things will be much more clearer. So I have a case A, let's say, which is 1 comma 2 comma 6, and I have a relation R which is 1 comma 2 comma 2 comma 6 comma 1 comma 6 comma 6 comma 2. Now based on this particular definition, I see this is not an asymmetric relation, reason being 6 comma 2 exists, sorry 2 comma 2 6 exists, and similarly 6 comma 2 also exists, right? So this particular thing is violating to what we said. Now after asymmetric, we have something called as antisymmetric. Right, so a relation R on a set A is asymmetric if whenever I have like A comma B existing in R, then okay, I made one small error. Let me rectify it. This I wrote it as asymmetric. This is antisymmetric. Right. So whenever, let's say, I have ARB and BRA, then A is equals to B for all A comma B existing in A. Right. So antisymmetric is saying that if A is related to B, and B is related to A, then A equals to B for all A comma B existing in A. In another word, you can also say that your A comma B does not exist in R, or B comma A does not exist in R when A is not equal to B. Right. So see, whenever I'm saying this particular thing does not exist, it also means that an element of, right? So your A comma B is not an element of R, or B comma A is not an element of R when A is not equal to B. One point here to note is that antisymmetric is not the same as not symmetric. So a relation may be symmetric as well as your antisymmetric at the same time. Right. For example, let's say I have a relation R which is your 1 comma 3, 3 comma 1, 2 comma 3. Now this is neither symmetric nor antisymmetric, and on the other hand, let's say I have like something called as S, which is 1 comma 1 comma 2 comma 2. Now this is your both symmetric and antisymmetric, right? From this particular definition I'm saying. So don't get confused with your antisymmetric and your not symmetric. Right. So once again, let me throw some more light on it so that things will be much more clearer. In this case, it is neither symmetric nor antisymmetric. Right. And in this case, it is both symmetric and antisymmetric. Now let's talk about the last category, which is your transitive relation. So in this case we have, let's say, a relation R on a set A, and this is transitive whenever, in fact, from this, okay, let's change to this thing. It is your 10th one, which is your transitive relation. So just a minor mistake, but yeah, definition is remains the same. So a relation R on a set A is transitive whenever I have like A comma B, which is an element of R or exists in R, and B comma C existing in R, then your A comma C is going to exist in R as well. Now the same thing can also be represented or explained as your A R B and B R C implies your A R C, where your A comma B comma C exist in capital A. So let's take some examples so that the things will be much more clearer. Yeah, so here I have kept it right. So your relation which is less than or maybe is parallel to on the set of lines in a plane is transitive, because you know parallel lines, right? If like there are like A is parallel to B, B is parallel to C, so obviously your A will be parallel to C, right? This is like a theoretical example to explain you this particular part. And let's say if I have like a relation is less than and is greater than, transitive on your real numbers as well. So if I have a set of like transitive numbers, so in that case also I can prove it. So now let's quickly summarize what we have covered in today's video, because we have covered many properties. So we started with your identity relation, where we said that A comma A is an ordered pair such that your A exists in capital A. Then we talked about your inverse relation, right? We had a second discussion on inverse relation, so let me not throw some more light on this now. And then we talked about your Henry relation, and then we talked about your reflexive relation. We took some examples also. We then talked about your irreflexive relation. We talked about your non-reflexive relation. We looked into your symmetric relation. We had a discussion on your asymmetric, and then anti-symmetric, and finally your transitive relation. So in case of reflexivity, we said your A comma A is related or exists in R, that is your ARA for all A existing in A. In case of irreflexivity, we said your A comma A does not exist in R, that is for ARA for all A existing in A. In case of symmetry, so why I'm listing all these 6? Because these 6 are something which are very crucial for your understanding. So A comma B existing in R, which implies your B comma A existing in R for all A comma B, an element of A. Next was your asymmetry, post which in which we saw your A comma B existing in R, which implies your B comma A does not exist in R for all A comma B existing in A. And then we have antisymmetry, in which we said A comma B existing in R and B comma A existing in R, which implies A equals to B for all A comma B existing in A. And the last important one, as I said, these things very crucial. Inverse I have excluded because we had a separate discussion twice, which is your A comma B existing in R, B comma C existing in R, which implies A comma C existing in R for all A comma B comma C, an element of A. So this summarizes all the properties we have covered today, and in the next video we are going to talk about equivalence relations, and we are going to take this discussion further, where we'll be making use of your reflexivity, we'll be making use of symmetry, we'll be making use of your transitivity in order to cover your equivalence relations. So see you soon.